Alright, so good morning, good afternoon, good night. It all depends on whenever you are watching this video. This is my first tutorial, my first mathematics tutorial, and I will begin this journey of becoming an online mentor by tackling one of the most important topic in mathematics. One of the one of the things that you must have in your armory if you want to pass CSEC or any mathematics exam, and that is solving equations. Now, without this skill of solving equations, you will find it hard in almost, if not all, the topics in mathematics. Alright, let's not talk any further, let's get straight into the action. Alright, so one of the most important topic or one of the most important skill that you will need when writing CSEC exam or any mathematics exam in secondary school is the skill to solve equations. As long as you develop this skill, as long as you are armored with this skill, you'll be able to answer any question. Now, when solving equations, there are two methods that secondary school teachers would normally use. That is the reason for having these two equations on two sides of the page. I will show you both methods and you will see why it's important to know both of these methods. Now, I would like to solve this equation. X plus 3 is equal to 9. Now, when we say solve an equation, we want to solve an equation. We're basically finding the value of x. You're finding what is the value of that x. As in algebra, letters are used to represent a number that we don't know, like solving a puzzle. Anyways, so we got x plus 3 is equal to 9. Now, when we want to solve this equation, the key is to ensure that this x is left by itself on one side of the equation and everything else is on the other side. So if you want to leave x by itself, we need to get rid of the 3. We need to get rid of that 3 somehow. So if you want to get rid of that 3, what you will have to do is subtract 3 from this side of the equation. Now, when subtracting 3, imagine you have a scale and you have 1 pound of potato. Let me just draw this here. Yes, imagine you have a scale. I'll try to draw a scale as best as possible. Yeah, imagine you have a scale. Yeah, my scale, it looks kind of funny. And in this scale, you have 3 pounds of potato here. Right? I mean, this is a scale. So if you have 3 pounds of potato here, and you have another 3 pounds of potato here. And let's say you decide to take, now this scale will be balanced, right? Because you have 3 on this side and 3 on this side. Now let's just say you decide that you're going to take off 2 pounds of this potato. What will happen to the scale? Most obviously, the scale will lean towards this side and it will no longer be balanced because you remove 2 pounds of potato from this side of the scale and that throws off the whole balance of the scale. Now, in the same way, when solving equations, if you want to get rid of this 3, we said that we will subtract 3 from this side of the equation and we will get rid of 3. So we'll have x plus 3. Subtract 3 is equal to 9. But just like in the scale, if you subtract 3 from that side of the equation, you must also subtract 3 from this side, just so that we can keep this equation balanced. Just like with the potato, if you took out 2 pounds, you have to take out 2 from the other side so that the equation can be balanced. Now 3 subtract 3, that will give you 0. So we're now left with x is equal to 9 subtract 3, you will get 6. So that is how we solve that equation. The value for x is equal to 6. Alright? Good. Now, luckily, we have an alternative method. The method that most people would rather use because it is faster and easier. Now, now we have the same equation on this side and we want to solve it. X plus 3 is equal to 9. All we have to do with the other method, all we have to do is, once again, leave x by itself. Leave this x by itself. So we have to get rid of this 3. But instead of subtracting 3 from both sides of the equation, we just take over the 3 over the equal sign with that 9. But the thing with this method, when we take over the 3, whatever operation the 3 was doing over here, when it goes over this magical equal sign, it will have to do the opposite to whatever it was doing. So this will now read x is equal to 9. And if you look at this here, the 3 was adding. So when we take over the 3 over this side, it will now subtract. So x will be equal to 9 subtract 3. X is equal to 6. Now you as a math student, as a math teacher, you will have to decide which method you think is easier to you and which method you want to use. Both are correct. But the method that I would prefer to use is this method here, because it is faster, because it is way faster. Alright, so we continue, we keeping the bar rolling. Now we have another example here. We continue with solving of equation. Now the instruction is to solve that equation that you have there. 7x plus 3 is equal to 80. Now, as I just said, when solving the equation, the most important thing is to leave x by itself. Now a question or a thing that would normally puzzle students is to decide which one of these terms we will take over for us. That is a big question as most secondary school children will ask. Which one do we take over for us? Do we take over the 7 or do we take over the 3? Now to answer that question, now the term that you will take over is the term that is doing something to the entire equation. If you look at this 7 here, this 7 is just multiplying this x. This 7 is not doing anything to this 3. So if we take over the 7, that will disrupt the whole equation. Because the 7 is just doing something to the x. But the 3, on the other hand, the 3 is adding to 7x. The 3 is adding to everything else that is on this side. So that is how you decide which one to take over first. The thing that is doing something to the whole equation. Good. Now since that is out of the way, let's continue. Let's go ahead and solve this. Now I will use the second method. So we have 7x plus 3. This 3 is adding to the 7x. So we know that 7x is equal to 80. This 3 is adding. So we take it over, it will subtract. Now another thing. It doesn't matter where you put the 3 when you take it over. It doesn't matter if you put it in front of here or you put it behind. You will get the same answer. Because if you put it behind, you will just get, if you put it in front, you will just get 7x is equal to -3 plus 80. And you will get the same answer. So it doesn't matter. Good. So we have 7x is equal to 80 minus 3. And that will give you 7x is equal to 80 minus 3. That will give you 77. And then we proceed. Now, this 7x, that 7 there is multiplying that x. So when we take this 7 over the equal sign, the opposite of multiplication is division. So when we take over this 7, it will do the opposite. So now we'll have x is equal to 77 divided by 7. And x will be equal to 11. And that is how you solve this equation. Alright, so we have the final exam for the, final example for the day. -2 plus x divided by 6 is equal to 4. Once again, what is doing something to the entire equation? That negative 2 there is adding to that entire equation. A common mistake that children would make, they would normally say, "Sir, this 2 here is adding. So when we take over the 2, it got to subtract." Yes, the 2 is adding, but let me show you. If you switch around this equation, let's say you put the x over 6 for us, and you bring this 2 and put it in front of that. Maybe you're taking it over n equal sign, so no sign can change. You're just switching around the equation. You have a positive in front of that x, so you put back that positive there. And if you bring this 2 and you put it here, that is what you will get. X over 6 minus 2. So really and truly, that 2 there is subtracted from this equation here because of this sign that is in front of the 2. So when you take over that 2 over the equal sign, it will have to add. And we'll have x over 6 is equal to 4 plus 2. X over 6 is equal to 4 plus 2. That will give you 6. And once again, the final step, that 6 is dividing that x. So when we take it over, the opposite of division is multiplication. So x will be equal to 6 times 6. X is equal to 36. And that is how you solve equations. Alright, so one final thing. We know the value of x in this equation is 36. Now this is just an insurance. This is just a check to make sure that your answer is correct. How can you know if your answer is correct? All you do is substitute this value here back into the original equation, and when you work it out, you're supposed to get 4. So let's try it and see if we'll get 4. Negative 2 plus, and instead of writing back x, we are putting 36 because that is the value for x. 36 divided by 6 is equal to 4. When you work on this side, you're supposed to get 4. So negative 2 plus 36 divided by 6, that will give you 6 is equal to 4. And negative 2 plus 4, that will give you 4. So that means your answer is correct. Yeah, so that is how you know if your answer is correct. After you finish finding the value for x, you plug in that answer, or you replace that answer with x. You replace x with that answer. And when you work it out, if the equation is balanced, that means this side is supposed to equal to this side, then you know you've done it correct.